times, but I notice more and more you're able to get sheep, and especially lamb chops. Everybody thinks that's the only kind of meat on a sheep, but there's not. But those are ruminants, and that's a special kind of meat because they have a multi-chamber stomach that really does magical things. Unless you really want to dig into bovine physiology, let's just call it magic, because what their stomach is able to turn grass and weeds into, it's magical how they can do it, and they have the help of trillions of bacteria to do it. But the chicken and fish are fine, I think, for carnivores, but they're monogastrics, which means they only have one chamber in their stomach, a lot like us. And so they're able to eat a much broader, diverse, they're able to eat the rainbow, Jesse. But what winds up happening is their meat is not quite as healthy as ruminant meat. And so that might be another lesson. They're very simple. But I think for the average person, chicken and pork and turkey and other fowl and other animals are totally fine to eat, unless you've got severe inflammatory conditions or severe autoimmune conditions, in which case you need to look into that subset of the carnivore diet, which is the lion diet. And so I think it can be quite narrow in what you eat, because I would love if somebody would crunch their numbers and just say, okay, these 100 people are going to eat nothing but beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. Free choice, whatever you like, whatever you want. And these people, these 100 or 500, have equal groups. We are going to ship in every vegan-friendly food from all over planet Earth. And if there's anything growing on Mars, we're going to ship that into, so that they can eat the most diverse, widest rainbow of vegan foods that is possible for a human to eat. With all the refrigerated trucks and refrigerated transport ships, we're going to ship this stuff from everywhere. The person eating the lowly diet of beef, butter, bacon, and eggs that's available in every supermarket, and I'm not talking about the expensive pasture grass-fed. I'm talking about the cheap beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. They are actually going to be receiving more nutrition from those foods than our group of people who are eating every root, every berry, every leaf from all 6 continents of planet Earth where plants will grow. They're going to be getting more nutrition with that very simple, very easy, and quite affordable diet. And I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is. I will help fund that study. If there's a vegan out there, a big vegan influencer who watches Jesse, I bet there's 2 or 3. And you're like, Dr. Berry's full of crap. There's no way. Let's go. Let's raise the funds and let's do that study. And I think that the poor vegans will be very disappointed in the results.
Let's talk more about the food quality, because somebody adopting any diet on this continuum we're talking about, if this is new to them, they're going to go to the grocery store, they're going to go to the butcher, and that's one of the first things that they're going to encounter, where there's this spectrum of quality of the meat. So let's talk about how big of a difference that makes.
So from the research that I've read, and it's quite extensive, I've really looked into this, both not only in just human nutrition research, but also in veterinary nutrition research. What do animals eat? What does that do to the meat when they eat that? So there is a range of, let's say, quality, of different qualities of meat. So the cheap 10-pound discount pack of ground beef, 70-30, that you would buy at the cheapest grocery, right? That's not going to be quite as good as if you raise your own cattle and rotationally graze them and just baby them and make sure that they've got the best quality grass and forage and legumes to eat. And so the research shows that depending on which nutrient you're talking about, the grass-fed, grass-finished, panda-massaged meat is going to be 3 to 10% better, depending on which nutrient. So if it's omega-3 fatty acids, it's going to be 3 to 7% better. If you're talking about some of the vitamins and minerals, it's going to be 5 to 10% better. But just because it's better doesn't make the cheap meat bad. It just makes it slightly less good. And so you're right. So many people are like, man, this carnivore is popular and I need to lose some weight. I'm going to go carnivore. And then they start watching influencers and are like, oh, you don't want to buy that supermarket beef. You want this $42 a pound grass-fed, grass-finished beef that I've got an affiliate link right here. You just click on this link. If you can afford grass-fed, grass-finished, if that's not going to hurt your pocketbook, by all means do that. It's 3 to 10% better for you. But if money is an issue, and I don't know about you, Jesse, but there was a time in my life I was broke as a joke. And if you said, hey, we want to sell you this beef for $30 a pound, I'd have been like, well, I guess I'll starve because I can't afford that. And so what I'm telling people is you can buy beef, butter, bacon, and eggs from the cheapest supermarket, from the cheapest source. That is going to have a quality of nutrition that is better than the most expensive box of cereal at Whole Foods, than the most expensive loaf of bread at Whole Foods, the most expensive granola. I'm talking about the stuff that, even middle class vegan can afford. That just crazy expensive vegan stuff. Beef, butter, bacon, and eggs is every time. And I'm sorry if that hurts people's feelings. The truth is what it is. And I think once we're able to fund that study with me and some of my vegan colleagues, I think that the numbers will show definitively you're going to get always more nutrition from beef, butter, bacon, and eggs than you get from any kind of a plant-based diet, no matter how varied it is.
You talked about the 70-30 split when you were talking about ground beef, and it got me thinking about that macro and us getting more specific into fat. Because depending on the type of meat, that can vary, even within one type of meat, again, the ground beef there. So for somebody that wants to give this a go and have the best opportunity for working out, how much fat do they need to be eating?
More than they probably think. Anybody who lives in modern society is afraid of fat. We're afraid of animal fat. We're afraid of saturated fat. We're afraid of high cholesterol foods. Right? And because it has been demonized in popular media, magazines, television, any kind of popular media, it's still demonized by the powers that be on social media now. Human beings are liberals. We love fat, and we crave fat, and we need fat. There are hundreds of things in the human body that eating saturated animal fat is beneficial for. And I'll have a lot of people that are like, okay, I'm on carnivore, but I need you to tell me just how much bacon can I eat? Or I'm really loving my eggs now that I've stopped eating egg white omelets. But I mean, how many yolks are okay? Like, they're like still they have that unconscious, almost hardwired fear, right? Of fat. Oh my God, how many yolks can I eat? Because I'm really loving them. Can I eat a dozen a day? And I just make the farcical statement, as long as you don't eat over 100 pieces of bacon a day, you're fine. Or over 100 egg yolks a day, you're fine. Because the truth of the matter is there's no upper limit. What's going to happen in reality, unless you entered a egg yolk eating contest and you're competing for a $1,000 prize, you're never going to overeat egg yolks. You have multiple satiety hormones in your body. And all these satiety hormones are triggered on fat and or protein. And when you've eaten enough fat, they will rise, and it will tell you. And it's not going to be like you get an email saying, hey, you've eaten enough fat today. It's just going to be a signal, and you'll experience that signal as in, I don't want any more egg yolks today. I've had enough of those. I've had enough bacon. I love bacon, but I don't want any more. That means you've eaten enough bacon that day. That's the signal. That's the same signal that every other animal on planet Earth listens to each and every day of their life. Every wild animal has the same type hormones that tells them when they're hungry, and it tells them when they've eaten enough nutrition. We have that too. People have been trained to not trust their body. We've been trained. We're literally living in a state of trained ignorance, Jesse. Because when you make something complicated, there's a profit opportunity there for the companies, right? When you be like, oh, human nutrition, good God, you need a PhD nutritionist, you need to go to a group, you need to join a Facebook group, you need to buy these supplements. Oh, it's so complicated. Actually, it's quite simple. Once you cut through all the noise and cut through all the propaganda and cut through all the ad copy, it's actually quite simple. listen to your body. Is it telling you you're hungry? Then, alternately, listen to your body. Is it telling you you don't really want any more egg yolks? You've probably had enough fat today. I don't want any more bacon. You've probably had enough fat for at least this part of the day. Same goes for protein. Oh, I'm afraid I'll eat too much protein on this carnivore diet. And this is the same people who are drinking a half gallon of protein shake a day. But they're worried they might get too much protein if they eat all this meat and eggs and fish, right? It's just we've been trained to be ignorant when it comes to human nutrition. And that's part of my mission, is to just say, hey, your body's got this. And I'll also ask people, how many times did you breathe in the last minute? And they're uniformly like, I mean, should I be tracking that? Do I need to know that? Immediately they're like, oh God, another thing to track. And I'm like, no, I was being sarcastic. You don't have to track how many times you breathe a minute. Your body's got that. It doesn't need any help from you. You can consciously control your breathing, but it's going to be bad for you if you do that. It's going to hurt you. You'll either hyperventilate or hypoventilate, and then you'll be in trouble. What about how many times your heart beat the last 60 seconds? Do you know? And a lot of people aren't tracking that, and they literally didn't try to reach in to their physiology and do something about that. It's like, stop it. Shut up. Back away from the Apple Watch or the Oura Ring. You cannot control any of that. If you eat a proper human diet and you get proper human sleep and live a proper human life, your body is auto-tuned for all of that stuff, including your hunger, appetite, and your satiety, and what nutrients. All that stuff is programmed in here, in your DNA. You don't need any of that stuff that often costs hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Sorry, I know I just caused a couple of bankruptcies and caused some stock prices to fall, but I'm sorry. I'm here for people's human health, not for the health of the economy.
You took that question in a different direction, and I'm happy you did, because that's important to go to the upper limit as well. But the way I was coming at it was from under getting enough fat in the diet. So people that might come into this eating chicken breasts, eating the ground meat that's low fat, talk about how if they're doing that and not getting enough fat the other way, that can be a problem.
Oh, it's a huge problem, and that's the predominant problem for people who are eating more meat or trying a carnivore diet. They are going to undereat fat. That's just going to happen. That is the most common problem, I think, for most people trying a carnivore diet. And the way that's going to manifest itself is you're going to have fatigue. You're going to be draggy. You're going to be like, I've got no energy. I just have no energy. And that's because when you adopt a meat-heavy ketogenic diet, or a ketovore diet, or a high-fat carnivore diet, you're going to shift away from being a sugar burner. And this is another aspect of physiology that doesn't get talked about enough, and most doctors have no idea that there's a second fuel source that humans can use, and that's ketones and fatty acids and triglycerides. There are very few cells in the human body that can't burn ketones for fuel, or triglycerides or fatty acids, depending on the cell type. There's literally a short list that you can almost list on one hand of cell types that cannot use that. They have to have glucose. There's some in the human testicle, some in the human ovary. All the red blood cells have to have glucose, and then there may be a few cells in the human eye and the human brain that need glucose. But your body can make that glucose anytime you need it, right? And so the vast majority of people have this just beat into them unconscious fear of animal fat. And so they're like, okay, I'll try this. And so they're doing carnivore with skinless chicken breast and with pork chops that they've trimmed every single bit of the fat off of, because they just can't eat bacon. It's got too much fat. You can see the strips of fat in the piece of bacon, right? And they're eating eggs now, but they're like, I eat 6 eggs, but I throw away 3 of the yolks because that's just so much fat. I don't know. But that's not how you carnivore. You will not be successful, because you will have such a lack of energy. Your skin will suffer, your hair will suffer. You're going to be miserable. Human beings are lipivores, meaning fat lovers. Some of the very first paleoanthropological research I read was by a lady whose name is Jessica. I've forgotten her last name, but she's at either Stanford or Harvard. Paleoanthropologist, and she said that we now pretty much know that the first animal foods that humans ate was the brains and the bone marrow of previously killed large animals. And so lions or a hyena would make a large kill, and they would eat all the lean meat and whatever entrails they wanted, and then we would either just sit and wait for them to go take a nap, or we would then later figure out how to scare them away with a group of 10 or 20 of us. And then we would take very large rocks, and we could crack open the humerus and the femur and the calvarium and get to the brains and the bone marrow, which are almost pure fat. So even the largest saber-toothed tiger could not crack open the skull of a big bison that they had killed. It could not crack open the large bones, the humerus and the femur, and get to the marrow. And the marrow and the brains stay fresh and edible for days after that animal is killed. And we figured that out because we're thinkers. We're always messing around and checking stuff out and trying new stuff, right? And so we figured that out, and that probably thanks to our ancestors doing that is why we have this large fat-filled brain, because now we had access to this wonderful, delicious source of fat that we had never had access to before. And so then we later started hunting and killing these animals ourselves as we developed the weaponry to do so. And now we are this modern Homo sapiens sapien. And so anybody who's going to try keto, carnivore, carnivore, got to eat the animal fat that comes with the meat that you're eating. And you most likely need to cook the meat in animal fat. And you most likely need to put some animal fat, aka butter, on top of the meat after you've cooked it. Then and only then will you be getting as much fat as your body is craving, as much fat as your brain needs, as much fat as all of your internal organs need for optimal health, which is obviously the goal that we're all after.
I'm glad you went to the piece of adding fat on. That's where I was going next. Other than putting butter on, say, top of a steak like you mentioned, any other ways of upping that fat through lard, tallow, butter?
So you're never again going to buy 90-10 ground beef or 85-15 ground beef. You're going to buy, the worst you're going to buy is 80-20. And if you have access to a meat department manager or a butcher, you're going to ask them to make you a 70-30 grind, which is 70% lean, 30% fat, because that's going to give you about a 1-to-1 fat to protein ratio. Okay? That's the sweet spot where most people need to start. Some people need more fat than that. But for anybody, the 1-to-1 fat to protein ratio is going to be a great place to start. A strip of bacon is about a 1-to-1 fat to protein ratio. An egg yolk, not the whole egg, but just the yolk, is about a 1-to-1 fat to protein ratio. There are many dietitians out there, Jesse, who are like, oh no, the yolk's pure fat. No. It's 1-to-1 fat to protein in just the yolk. If you eat the entire egg, then it's a 3-to-1 or a 4-to-1 protein to fat ratio. And so for many people, that's too lean. So when I cook a dozen eggs, which I'm about to do, what time is it now? It's almost 1 p.m. here. I'm about to break my fast here after this. I'm going to eat a dozen eggs, and I'm probably going to throw away 5 or 6 of the whites so that I bump that fat intake up. I'm going to cook probably 2 pounds of 70-30 ground beef, and I'm going to cook that in bacon grease, and then I'm probably going to put some butter on top of that. So I'm going to have 2 pounds of ground beef and a dozen egg yolks and 6 egg whites with some butter on top. That's going to be how I break my fast for today. And I encourage everybody else, never throw away a yolk, never trim the fat off the meat that comes if you're eating a steak or a pork chop. If you're going to eat poultry, eat the legs and thighs with the skin on. Do never, for the rest of your life, eat a skinless chicken breast. If so, we can't be friends. I'm sorry.
Talk more about your diet these days. You gave us an idea there with the fasting and then what you're going to break that with. But talk about what your eating window is, and then what some of the different dietary choices you're making are.
So we have a large farm here in the hills of Midwest Tennessee. And, well, pretty large farm now. We keep buying parcels. And I've got a flock of sheep. I have about 60 Katahdin St. Croix hair sheep. And so I was just, this morning I got up, I had a cup of coffee, and I went and I moved the sheep to a new paddock. I cut some trees down, all fasting, right? I was doing literally lifting 80, 120-pound logs, making a brush pile. I do that daily. That's every day for me. That's my workout. I don't have a gym membership. And so then, somewhere between 2 and 4 p.m., whenever I start to, what did I say earlier? When I start to truly feel physiologically hungry, I'll come in and I'll take a shower because I'm really stinky when I come in from this 96-degree, 100% humidity Tennessee summer. Take a shower, and then I'll break my fast. It's anywhere between 2 and 4 p.m. typically. And I'll eat until I cannot eat another bite of meat and eggs. Sometimes I'll have some salmon or tuna. Sometimes I'll throw in some other kinds of meat. Nisha can cook chicken thighs that are just chef's kiss. And so sometimes I'll have some chicken thighs, but predominantly it's beef and eggs because that's it, or mutton and eggs, because we have obviously access to beautiful grass-fed sheep meat, and we've got a freezer full of that and a freezer full of a cow that we bought from a local rancher. And that's what we eat. And that's what Beckett, my 6-year-old, eats. That's what Bonnie, my 3-year-old, eats. That's what Nisha eats. Now, the children, we add in some other stuff, some berries, some nuts, little treats now and then. But the bedrock of their diet at 3 years old and 6 years old is meat and eggs. Nisha is what we call a ketovore. She had severe Hashimoto's, and if she eats too many plants, even healthy plants, she will have a flare-up of her Hashimoto's. She will have a flare-up of IBS symptoms. So the bedrock of her diet is meat and eggs. And then she'll add some veg, she'll add some this, some spices. And that's literally the diet that this entire household eats. Our dogs, we have 2 dogs, they're both eat predominantly meat. We buy them cheap sources of meat because we have a meat processor here in town. So I've got access to lots of tasty entrails and little bits and scraps of the processed animals that our dogs eat. We have 2 cats who are 100%, all they eat is meat and fish, and that's 100% of their diet, because I love every member of our family, including the pets, and I want all of them to have optimal health. And so now, do I just eat 1 meal a day? No, it depends. So sometimes about 6 or 7 p.m., if I get truly hungry again, and some days I do, I'll eat a second, and it's usually a smaller meal, maybe a pound of ground beef and 3 or 4 more eggs. And then that's it, I'm done. So it's either 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day. And that depends on the social situation, the family situation, how hard I've worked that day, what time I got up that day. It depends on many variables. And so my diet is 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day. I do never eat unless I'm truly hungry, unless, we're visiting relatives and they make a big breakfast. I'll pick at it just to be social and polite, right? I'm not an asshole. But I'm not going to just plow into this big breakfast just because it happens to be on the table, because you don't get optimal health doing that. Even if you're eating the proper stuff. And I've told people this before, you can absolutely gain weight on carnivore or keto if you're eating 3 meals a day with 3 snacks in between. Even if everything you eat is keto and carnivore, you can gain weight doing that, okay? Because that's not how we're designed to eat. We're designed to eat once or twice, maybe thrice a day. That's it. Researching a proper human diet has taken me also deep into archaeology, Jesse. Who would ever thought that a family doctor from Tennessee is studying archaeology and anthropology, right? But do you know that before the Middle Ages, it was considered sinful to eat more than two meals a day? It was frowned upon socially and religiously. That's where the definition of the word glutton came from. Is if you ate 3 big meals a day and snacked around, you were a glutton, and people would socially shun you. You would you could get excommunicated for that, because people just knew that's not how you're supposed to eat. You shouldn't eat when you first wake up in the morning, or so in different cultures it might be you eat breakfast and midday, and that's it. Or you eat midday and evening, and that's it. That was just standard for all of the major cultures that ran planet Earth. You didn't eat 3 meals a day with snacks in between, you'd be shunned in polite society if you did that as a glutton.
How do you eat your ground beef? Do you put it in a pan with the eggs and just mix it all up? Do you make burger patties? Talk about how you incorporate that.
I sometimes will make burger patties, or I sometimes will take a pound of ground beef and slice it up and cook it in the air fryer just for a little variety. But the way I typically do it is I'll throw 2 pounds in a giant cast iron skillet that I bought off eBay. It's the good brand with the Swiss cross in the middle. Griswold. Yeah, Griswold. I paid way too much for it, but man, it's a beautiful skillet. It's probably over 100 years old. And I will put 2 pounds of ground beef in there, chunk it up, cook that when that's almost medium rare. Then I'll crack my eggs into that, and then I'll mix all that up and kind of make a big scramble with that. And I always put either some pluck seasoning, which is seasoning made with organ meat, or I'll put some Redmond's real salt, and then sometimes I'll put some salty mineral drops in and just sprinkle it on there because it tastes salty. And then also we try to get our ground beef to include the heart and liver, right? Especially when we harvest a cow, we always tell the meat processor all of our ground beef needs to have heart and liver, spleen, lung. The kidneys, I can taste them. I don't like that. But if you just put some liver, not a lot, you cannot taste it. It just tastes like ground beef. And you've now turned your ground beef into a literal superfood that has more nutrition than any food on planet Earth. But it's typically 2 pounds and maybe 8 or 12 eggs cracked in there, scrambled together, and then I just eat it with a spoon like a person of ill repute. Like there's no etiquette to that. I'm sitting here doing research, working on a video, eating my ground beef and eggs with a spoon. Like just think of the negative adjective that you would put on somebody from lowbrow society. Yeah, that's how I eat my beef and eggs. Always cooked in bacon grease, always with some daily minerals and some butter on top.
When you mentioned minerals there, it looked like you pointed to that bottle over your shoulder, the black and white. What is that specifically?
What have I been doing this for 8 years now, Jesse? And I've told you about all the supplement deals I've left on the table. There are literally 3 products I ever talk about, and that is Ancestral Supplements liver capsules, which are desiccated, dehydrated liver, ground up. For people who haven't grown up yet and learned to like their liver, or haven't learned how to treat themselves and put the liver in the ground beef. So this is a temporary thing. Until you grow up and learn to eat your liver somehow, you can take that, that's fine. But then as soon as you grow up and eat your liver, you don't waste money on this anymore, right? I designed this with Chris Bayer, the president of Keto Chow, and it's called Salty Minerals. And it's got all of the minerals that modern society inhabitants are typically deficient in, right? And iodine, molybdenum. It also has the electrolytes, which are also minerals. And it's got a very salty taste. Some people don't like it, some people love it. And then the pluck seasoning, because it's basically ground up organ meat that has some salt and a few little spices added. It's very clean ingredients. That's literally the 3 things I ever talk about as far as in the way of products, because I use them daily. I trust them. I've been to the place where it's made. I know that it's manufactured. I've talked to the CEO, the president, or both, and I've received their assurances that they will tell me if they ever change the formula. And so I just won't talk about any other product because I don't trust people. They have a profit motive, which is fine. I'm a red-blooded American. I love the profit motive, but not when it comes to our food, not when it comes to our health. You're gonna be open, you're gonna be honest, and you're gonna be ancestrally appropriate, or I'm never gonna talk about your product.
What about other supplements that are pretty common in our world? Vitamin D, omega oils, magnesium. Are these things you ever bring in, or no?
So, yeah, absolutely. Magnesium, potassium. I use unflavored element if I'm out on the farm sweating like a mule, right? I'll use unflavored element electrolytes. I do take, in the winter, I take a vitamin D3 K2 supplement that I buy off Amazon. I've never seen a company that I'm willing to work with. I'm not even going to say the brand of it. I also supplement with Blue Gall's iodine. I use J. Crow's brand. I bought it off Amazon. I have no affiliation with either of those companies at all. I don't make a penny, but I think almost everybody's deficient in iodine. They don't get enough iodine unless you live in the ocean within 20 miles and you eat beef, butter, bacon, and eggs that is raised on that soil within 20 miles from the ocean, or you eat lots of seafood. You're going to be deficient in iodine, and iodine is super important. That we can talk about iodine for 2 hours solid and not cover it sufficiently. But yeah, that's literally that is it. Nobody needs an omega-3 supplement. No, you don't need that. You don't need a vitamin A or vitamin E supplement. If you're eating beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, and eating a little bit of liver 2 or 3 times a week, you're going to get all that. You don't need any of that. The only thing that you may not be able to get enough of is vitamin D3, vitamin K2, and iodine. And as I'm leading by example here with my regenerative farm, that I'm out there rotating the sheep every 2 or 3 days to a new pasture, as that catches on and becomes more popular, and we start converting old soybean fields and old corn fields into pasture, and we start doing that and building the soil and unlocking the nutrition that is in the soil, often 20 feet down, because we've mistreated the soil for so many decades, in some cases centuries. We won't need any supplements at all. You'll be able to eat nothing but beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, and you'll get everything, and play in the sun with your shirt off. And you'll get every single thing that you need to just live an abundant, perfectly happy and healthy life.
Let's go back to the iodine piece. I've done a couple interviews talking about this. I know you have a few interviews / videos you've made on your channel. You got into it a little bit, but you are one of the voices that's advocating for taking this, and a lot of people aren't. A lot of people are scared of this supplement, so I think it's important we go into it. And you mentioned Lugol's. Let's talk about dosage-wise what you take and why you don't fear it.
I learned about iodine and how there's an epidemic of deficiency when I read Dr. David Brownstein's book. It was probably back in 2008. I don't know, it was forever ago. And I'm like, holy crap. And then, of course, I didn't blindly believe Dr. Brownstein. Then I was like, that just opened my brain. I'm like, okay, let me look into this. And I found out that most soils are so depleted of iodine. Either depleted or the soil has been so misformed that the iodine is locked up and inaccessible to the plants. And if the iodine is not in the plant that you eat, you're not going to get any iodine from that plant, even if it's supposedly iodine rich. If the cow or the pig or the chicken that you eat has not grazed on grass or bugs or worms that came from iodine-rich soil, I don't care what the USDA Food Data Central says about iodine content. It's not going to have enough iodine. That's number one. Now, like I said earlier, if you live within 20 miles of an ocean coastline or an island, your soil is probably iodine sufficient. And if you eat plants that grow there, or you eat animals that graze there, you're probably going to be fine. Or if you eat fish from the ocean, you're going to be fine, right? Now, I learned that the Japanese...
아파.
will sometimes, they're just their average diet. They'll eat 17 grams of iodine every day, their entire life. That's 17,000 micrograms. No, they won't eat 17 grams. I misspoke. 17 milligrams. Okay? Every day, which is 17,000 micrograms. Now, our federal government here in the United States says that you need 150 micrograms a day. And what that's going to do is let you not have a meal. That's literally is not optimal. That's just the minimum you need.
How to start carnivore diet.
If you're like millions of people around the world, you've heard about the carnivore diet and you've heard some of the seemingly miraculous before and after stories, seen some before and after pictures that kind of blew your mind. In this short video, I'm going to give you some practical tips, advice, and steps on how to start.
Maybe you've been carnivore for a while. You feel better. The scale hasn't moved in weeks. Congratulations. This means your metabolism has advanced. You've graduated from novice to intermediate. If you're an absolute beginner, just start the carnivore diet and that golden rule is going to be all you need. Ride the wave of weight loss and come back to this video in 8 to 12 weeks when you've plateaued. If you're intermediate, here's the system I've taught patients for years to get their best health on the carnivore diet. First, eat fat first. When you started carnivore, simply cutting the carbs switched away the ketones through your system and mobilized fat cells. Maybe your fat to protein ratio wasn't perfect, but it didn't matter. Just unburdening your metabolism from those constant insulin spikes is enough to see powerful results when you're at the beginner stage. But now that your body has adapted, getting those ketones requires you to add fat intentionally. Adjust your menu and eat fat to the point of true satiety. 2. Eat 2 meals a day. There is a magical moment around 2 weeks of following the previous step where patients see me and say something really weird happened to them the other day. They accidentally forgot to eat. That has never happened. This tells me their satiety hormones are finally robust enough to stress their metabolism once again. Carnivore reverses so many health problems because of the way it stresses your metabolism. The good kind of stress where the mitochondria grow stronger and more numerous. The carnivore menu is delicious and healthy, but the focus has to be on how your metabolism interacts with food. If you're grazing on even the best meat-based carnivore snacks all day, your metabolism will not heal. More precisely, this rule has been called eat 2 boluses of food per day. Now, I adopted the word bolus after patients told me that they were eating just 1 or 2 meals per day, but they were somehow stalled. True, they sat down to eat once or twice a day, but innocent snacking on this clean carnivore food snuck in. Their metabolism gave them a reality check. Every time you put a bite of food in your mouth, you're stimulating insulin. Eating fat spikes insulin a small amount, protein a little more, and carbs spike it the biggest. That secret sabotage of snacking kept their insulin too high, keeping their fat cells locked, ketones suppressed, and cellular repair process offline. Keep your eating to 2 boluses of food per day. Yeah, twice a day where you sit down and eat with no chewing in between meals. 3, time-restricted eating. Once you've landed the skill of choosing to eat only twice per day, it's time to squeeze that eating window, the time between the first bite of food in the morning to the last bite of food in the afternoon or evening. Start by squeezing down to 8 hours and then slide that eating window earlier in the day, at least before sunset. Your circadian rhythm dictates your body to become more and more insulin resistant at night. Eating after dark, even clean carnivore food, is a nightmare for your metabolism. My recommendation, eat the breakfast, even if you're not hungry in the morning. It's amazing how much fueling your body at the start of the day saves you from those cravings later on. Hold there for at least 10 days before ever attempting fasting. And in the meantime, learn to eat the one superfood that I recommend to every carnivore. Look here, I'll show you what it is.
Fight.
사운드 궁금하네. 뭐 한다 이거지. 또 하나. 아이고. 아, 너무 잘해.
Get ready for the next battle.
Is the carnivore diet safe? Is it okay to do for a long time? And how do you get started? Hi, I'm Dr. Eric Westman, and welcome to my channel where I review and debunk nutritional misinformation online. In this video, I'm going to give some tips and pointers and background about the carnivore diet, how to get started. I think it's reasonable to do, and things to watch out for. Be sure to listen to the end of the video where you get my final thoughts. Who would have thought that the
Get ready for the next battle.
crispy frog lord. 사람 잘하게 생겼다.
Round 1. Fight.
오. 아, 쏴.
Final round. Fight.
아, 됐네.
Round one. Fight. Round two. Fight.
얘 점수 다 올라가겠네. 아, 콤보 좋은데? 아,
Round three. Fight.
아, 이 사람 엄청 좋아요. 야,
Get ready for the next battle.
아, 아파.
Get ready for the next battle.
쥐짐전이야.
Round one. Fight.
아, 그런데. 아이고.
Round two. Fight.
아. 아, 자.
Round three. Fight.
운으로 이기는.
Round four. Fight.
아. 아, 나.
Final round. Fight.
나 안 풀리냐. 아, 저. 잘 끊겼으면 물 좀 받아올게요. 이렇게. 아, 물 좀 받아올게요. 아.
Get ready for the next battle.
Ah. 아, 죽겠다. Okay. Okay. Mm.
Get ready for the next battle. Fight.
진짜. 아이고.
Get ready for the next battle. Get ready for the next battle.
So.
貴様をここで終わらせる。Round 1. Fight. 所詮は雑魚だったな。Round 2. Fight. なめるな。
왜 운이 안 좋냐. 뭐 점수 다 아깝기는.
Round 1. Fight.
이 캐릭 진짜 짜증난다. 제발 다신 만나지 말자.
Get ready for the next battle.
Badass Mike.
Round one. Fight.
Boom. 사각 레버 손 모양.
사각 레버 손 모양.
사람 뭐야? 끊겼어.
Get ready for the next battle.
뭐지?
네, 노멀진을 플레이하다 보면 웨이브를 쓸 때가 참 많죠. 상대랑 거리를 좁힐 때도 쓰고, 초원지, 초왼지, 벼락 등등 특정 스킬을 쓸 때도 쓰고, 웨이브 대시를 통해 상대에게 신경 걸 때도 위치는 있습니다. 이렇듯 노멀진은 웨이브를 쓸 때가 정말 많죠. 그러니 이번 영상에서는 웨이브에 대한 룰을 다룰 겁니다. 웨이브가 어느 정도 부담감이 말이 그렇네요. 바로 시작하겠습니다. 보시죠. 들어가기에 앞서 저의 주관적인 생각이 있기 때문에 정답이 아니라는 것을 알려드립니다. 네, 먼저 기본적인 웨이브 커맨드는 6인 이상으로 그리 어렵지 않습니다. 그냥 자연스럽게 입력하면 철권을 모르던 분들도 한 번을 물론 한 번만 쓸 때 여러분 웨이브를 쓰는 시작은 뭐라고 생각하시나요? 당연히 웨이브가 들어간 기술을 만들기 위해서겠죠. 그런데 기술을 쓸 때 약간의 어려움이 존재합니다. 초원지로 예를 들자면 분명 초원지를 썼는데 어퍼나 스타트로 혹은 상대를 뚫었을 때 공중 스피가 나갈 때 의도하지 않은 기술들이 나갈 때가 있죠. 그 원인은 커맨드의 행위입니다. 커맨드를 보면 초원지를 쓸 때 정확하게 커맨드 버튼이 동시에 눌러져 되는 것을 볼 수 있습니다. 반면 의도하지 않은 기술이 나갈 때는 버튼이 더 빨리 누르거나 느리게 눌리거나 혹은 아예 하나가 빠져서 그렇게 되는 것을 볼 수 있죠. 여기서 커맨드 실수를 조금이나마 줄일 수 있도록 타이밍을 알려드리겠습니다. 첫 번째 비행 커맨드, 즉 6인 이상에서 이상 부분이 가장 중요합니다. 무조건 3에 맞춰서 동시 입력 들어가기보다 2에서 3으로 넘어가는 그 사이에 미리 오른손을 입력해주시는 게 좋습니다. 이 타이밍을 각을 익히시면서 꾸준히였습니다. 어렵지 않게 초원지를 쓸 수 있습니다. 다음, 웨이브는 상대와의 거리를 좁힐 때도 유용하게 사용할 수 있죠. 일반적인 대신에 웨이브를 섞어 더 먼 거리를 한 번에 좁힐 수 있습니다. 그리고 웨이브를 쓰는 짧은 순간에 상단 기술을 회피할 수 있어 상황에 따라 이득적인 부분도 가져올 수 있죠. 게다가 웨이브를 이용해 거리를 좁히는 동시에 대시 기술을 쓸 수 있습니다. 웨이브를 쓰고 방향 커맨드 6을 누르면 캐릭터가 앉은 상태에서 앞으로 나가게 되는데 이때 대시 판정이 오게 됩니다. 이 말은 즉 방향 커맨드를 한 번만 누르고 대시 기술을 쓸 수 있는 것이죠. 상대와 거리가 가까울 때는 그냥 대시로 눌러 상대와 거리가 멀어서 거리를 좁혀야 할 때는 웨이브 대시를 쓸 수 있습니다. 뿐만 아니라 웨이브를 사용함으로
이렇게 잘해.
기술들을 모두 사용할 수 있기 때문에 상대에게 심리를 걸릴 수 있죠. 하지만 웨이브는 일반적인 기술보다 쉽게 들어가고 커맨드 수가 더 많은데 딜레이에도 차이가 있죠. 상대의 기술이 좀 더 쉽게 들어가기 때문에 더 주의 깊게 가져야 하죠. 마지막, 웨이브 대시. 웨이브 대시는 그냥 웨이브를 연속적으로 사용하는 것인데 특별할 게 있을까요? 라고 생각하실 수도 있지만 그렇지 않습니다. 웨이브 대시를 쓰기 위해 무작정 웨이브만 연속으로 사용한다고 해서 쉽게 쓰기는 어렵습니다. 햇살이 드실 때는 무엇보다 불안정하기 때문에 위험에 쉽게 노출되어 오히려 안 쓰는 것만 버티게 되죠. 그러니 웨이브를 연속으로 쓰기 위한 타이밍과 방법을 알고 꾸준히 손에 익히셔야 합니다. 웨이브 대시를 쓰는 방법에는 두 가지가 있습니다. 6인 이상 커맨드와 6인 이상 6 커맨드가 있죠. 첫 번째, 먼저 6인 이상 커맨드를 보겠습니다. 6인 이상을 눌러 웨이브를 실현하고 6을 눌러 캐릭터가 앞으로 나간과 동시에 다시 2상을 눌러 웨이브 실현, 다시 6을 눌러 앞으로 나간과 동시에 다시 2상. 이런 식으로 웨이브를 쓰고 나서 타이밍에 맞게 6을 눌러 웨이브 대시를 사용합니다. 타이밍을 보면서 연습하기 때문에 웨이브를 연습으로 사용하기 위한 타이밍을 어렵지 않게 이해할 수 있는 좋은 방법입니다. 하지만 2, 3에서 끊고 타이밍에 맞게 웨이브를 쓰는 방식이기 때문에 연속으로 쓰려고 빠르게 입력하다 보면 생각보다 끈다리가 신경하게 되는 주의하셔야 합니다. 두 번째, 6인 2, 3, 6 커맨드를 보겠습니다. 첫 번째 방법과 달리 2, 3까지만 누르는 게 아니라 2, 3, 6 끝까지 누르는 것처럼 부드럽고 간단하게 웨이브 대시를 쓸 수 있는 방법입니다. 6인 2, 3, 6을 눌러 웨이브 시작, 다시 6인 2, 3, 6. 그냥 보기만 하면 6인 2, 3 방법과 크게 차이가 없는 것처럼 보이죠. 하지만 6인 2, 3, 6 방법은 타이밍을 걸어서 이걸 누르는 것이 아니라 처음부터 2, 3, 6 끝까지 있는 게 방식이기 때문에 커맨드가 부드럽게 이어집니다. 게다가 3에서 6으로 다른 커맨드가 아닌 6에서 6으로 같은 커맨드를 넣기 때문에 쉽게 쓰면서 속도를 게다가 익숙해지면서 빠르게 쓴다 하더라도 햇살이 거의 나지 않게 됩니다. 거기다 더 말한 대시 기술을 쓸 때 6을 끝까지 쓰기 때문에 반복해서 웨이브를 써도 어렵지 않게 타이밍에 맞춰 버튼을 누를 수 있죠. 정리하자면 6인 이상 방법은 연속적인 웨이브의 타이밍을 보다 쉽게 이해할 수 있어 웨이브를 처음 연습하기에 좋은 방법이고 웨이브를 충분히 이해하고 익숙해진 다음 실전에서 실수를 최대한 줄임과 동시에 부드럽게 사용할 수 있도록 해주는 방법입니다. 이렇게 웨이브에 대한 팁들을 다뤄보았습니다. 웨이브는 사용하기 어렵긴 하지만 게임을 운영하면서 더 큰 이득을 가져다주고 무엇보다 게임 운영의 폭을 넓혀주기 때문에 익혀두신다면 정말 좋을 듯하죠. 오늘의 팁은 여기까지. 영상 시청해주셔서 감사드리고 저는 다음 영상을 가지고 돌아오겠습니다. 자!
그래서 오른손만 입력해주면은 축복이 나가는 거예요. 커맨드가 똑같기 때문에. 그죠? 그죠? 초풍이랑 커맨드가 똑같기 때문에 저는 지금 웨이브를 한다라는 생각이 아니라 초풍을 쓰고 있다. 초풍을 연속해서 빠르게 쓰자라는 생각으로 배웠어요. 초풍이기 때문에 여기서 오른손만 눌러주면은 풍신이 나가는 거예요. 왜냐면 저는 실제로 커맨드를 초풍이랑 똑같이 쓰려고 노력을 하기 때문에 초풍. 그래서 오른손만 눌러줘도 초풍이 나가는 거예요. 반대로 나락이기 때문에 오른발만 눌러주면 나락이 나가는 거예요.
뭐야?
그럼 이거는 광 웨이브 대시 초풍 버전이고 그냥 풍신이면은 오른손 눌러주면 풍신 나가는 거예요. 왜냐면은 그래서 오른손만 눌러주는 거잖아. 오른발 눌러주면 나랑 스크린이 폼을 쓸 줄 안다. 이 손을 초풍처럼 빠르게 쓸 수 있다는 거죠. 그러면은 풍신 말고 그래서 중간에 오른손만 눌러주면 웨이브를 가능하다. 근데 나는 저의 이론이라서 간단하게 요약을 하자면은 웨이브 대시를 2게임 2, 3을 신경 쓰는 게 아니라 고등학생 때 풍신이랑 웨이브의 커맨드가 똑같으니까 풍신을 여러 번 나는 웨이브 대시를 쓸 줄 모르지만 풍신을 쓸 줄 안다라는 말은 승리가 안 된다는 생각을 했어요. 웨이브 대시를 잘 쓰자면 풍신을 여러 번 쓰자 로 시작을 했던 거예요. 이거를 조금만 묻어서 빠르게 쓰다 보니까 숙련도가 늘어나버리고 같은 걸 빠르게 만들어주세요. 이게 뭐 저는 그냥 이해를 쉽게 설명을 했다고 생각하는데 왜냐면 고등학생인 저의 제가 이렇게 생각을 했다는 거를 여러분들 알아주시지 않을까라는 생각을 합니다.
Literally seeing the crime in 4K. He's documenting it, he's posting it on the internet, he's talking about it, and no one's doing nothing about it. Fight. Frank in today's video, we found another teenager in this famous I previously have done a video on this guy, and he was only 16 years of age and on about it and he's cleaned up his act. No, he's actually done that. He recently was featured on CBS News for being a moron. Now, Jer's been 16 for perhaps his entire life because every video for I don't know how long always seems to be 16.
Done is on social media. You could be following so-called look back. Some of these personalities are potentially live to doing body
The trend of the look smears, people trying to maximize their physical appearance by using steroids, bone smashing, and so on.
나 너무 못한다.
How does a 16-year-old look at that? A lot of steroids and a lot of
Now, the first thing I have to ask is this. Where are the parents? Like, imagine you allow your 16-year-old to go on to this to admit to the world that you're using drugs that are illegal, schedule 3, and show the clip on the news and read it. Well, parents are afraid of me doing drugs and alcohol. My parents are afraid of me blasting bullets. I don't understand how you think it's okay. As parents, when we have to try to protect our kids' image, you're not only letting them use and abuse the steroids, but you're actually promoting it to the world by allowing them to be on an actual show. Imagine having parents like that. I just don't understand how this is allowed. And so we have a photo of Trent Malone. He's explaining how he learned how to use this, and then it all comes down to social media.
Why wait 10 years to like reach a physique when I can do it in less than a year?
And so they show him here, it says 16 years old, 500 tests, 80 Trent, and 50 Anavar. Are you freaking kidding me? That is his first cycle? That is a lot. Trent for your first cycle. I mean, no one would recommend this. I don't care if he's watching Clavicular. None of them are telling 16-year-olds to use Trend for their first cycle. When he starts his cycle, he wants to ascend. Popularized by Clavicular. You're gonna look better. You're gonna get better. 50% of steroids will make you feel better.
How's that? Ugly, short, let's say.
I started out as fat, ugly, short, I'm still doing those things, but at least I'm not fat. Go on a diet and count deficit. Travel, bike ride, run, swim, and run it backwards and wait. Tell me testosterone and to really do so. And so, yeah, it's not skinny. Is anything that is ascended full puberty when your body releases more testosterone, you start growing taller, you don't need to fast track it and so they show it here and the guys who want to believe that coming 16 is a time. You're trying to tell me that this appearance, overweight and so with basic tolerances whatsoever, looking like he does right now, 3 years ago, 3 months ago, whatever, the video. It's actually paid. It looks like he got hit. He lost a bit of weight, put on some muscle, lost some fat. I would believe that all this transpired while he was young. So it certainly started when he was younger, or he's older than that right now. Why are you suddenly leaner, taller, always moves around your belly button? So it's susceptible to anger. And Trent, don't take steroids to ridiculous. Next, don't inject steroids around your belly button. That is also why steroids are done Don't take it early as in susceptible to anger. Well, it could be because you're a teenager, even without steroids, you can get angry. Not that steroids can accelerate that. And not to mention, if you're in a diet, you're in a calorie
스타트 버튼도 못 눌러.
just because your child is suddenly angry, aggressive, doesn't mean they're on steroids. They might just be
왼쪽 손으로
a teenager
눌러야 돼.
trying to navigate life. He's got a needle in his ear, a needle in his mouth, sometimes supposed to promote this. Why are parents willing to post these images? What is going on in society? Why is Child Protective Services not moving the child who's the trusted parents? I don't object. It's literally it's all the news. All the rest of parents right now. People are
Anything about Toki, he openly said that he had a horrible health situation from literally when he ran.
Does anyone not think that Toki
Get ready for the next battle.
Sure, he's funny, he's hilarious, but when 16-year-olds watch his content, what do you think will become of it?
This kid is saying that he is staying as safe as possible, his health markers look in check,
As safe as possible, and using Trent at 16 should not be in the same sentence. I mean, this is ridiculous. Hey, don't worry about me, Mom. I'm going out to party with my friends. We're going to do a lot of sniffing that. Right, okay. We're going to be really safe all the time. You're not going to... You understand that this is not a reason to together. You can't say that you're Trent safely at 16. You really think that any of this is a learning experience? What these kids are seeing is, if you use Trent, you're going to get better, you're going to make the news, and everyone is going to love you. You probably get sponsored by a peptide site, and you're perhaps going to make millions of dollars. What they're forgetting is that they're going to die younger, that they don't care. I mean, this reminds me of movies when I was watching as a kid. If you sell your soul to the devil, for example, say, yeah, I will go to hell for the rest of my life, but I will live as a superstar for this year. Once the year is up, it's all over, and you're going to have some regrets.
So how long have you been on? I'd say about like the last 10 months.
Why didn't he just wait? The ascension doesn't have to take a couple of months. It's more fun for delayed gratification. The harder you have to work for it, the longer, the better. You have your whole life to get it together. You don't have to be on steroids, abusing Trent to get a look that is better than last time. Remember, it's about, can you look better tomorrow than you can today, and look better today than you did yesterday? You don't need to.
This is like the strongest one you can basically get.
The strongest one you can basically get, like, let's throw it out the window and say it's okay for 16-year-olds to stay. Let's pretend that that's okay. It's still reduced. No one on their first cycle should be using the strongest steroid of all. It doesn't make sense.
One of the most toxic.
Yeah.
That you are injecting into your body every single day.
Yeah, I mean, they use it on cows.
How is this okay? Where are the parents? I mean, you gotta understand, he's a freaking child. He's 16 years of age.
Get ready for the next battle.
Is how moronic, and so his parents do. We're adults. Where are the providers? Where are child protective services? I don't understand how this is okay. And this baffles me. It's illegal. He's harming his body and won't do anything about it.
Is a powerful anabolic steroid developed for livestock, not humans, and is a classified Schedule III drug, making the possession or distribution without a prescription illegal.
Possession is illegal. He's possessing. Arrest him. Arrest his parent. Like, how is this okay?
Arrested.
They haven't even blown out his face. He's a 16-year-old. You see his face on TV, and he has a popular account on TikTok. Tens of thousands of followers. How is that account not taken down? My account has been taken down multiple times. I can't go on TikTok. They can't. Allow this.
Are you not worried that you can do real harm to your body?
I know what can come with it. I'm just gonna do it the safest way possible. If I have a heart attack at 30, I have a heart attack.
And so when you're 16 years of age, you say, hey, if I have a heart attack at 30, that's like a lifetime away because he's only 16. Comparison, I'm 50. If I say, you know, if I have a heart attack at 100, you know, lifetime away, 50 times 2 is 100. I'm thinking, you know, that's pretty good. It's not too bad. And so when he's only 16 saying this, in his mind, this young mind that's not yet developed, that he doesn't know what he's saying, he's thinking 30 is actually old. Like, if I make it to 30, a heart attack, so what? Well, you won't be saying that when you're 30, nor 40, nor 50.
Do you think you would have gotten on steroids without social media?
No.
Get ready for the next battle.
Oh no.
For example, Togi, which is literally on his shirt right now in this interview, I do believe he was doing that on purpose. It's a hurt. Can you understand how we all need to be better? The world that doesn't do it. All the world cares about are licks and food and getting things and fixing it at all costs. To maximize your natural genetic potential. Remember, I'm not I competed in 40 bodybuilding. I have an amazing
아, 점수 다 깎였어, 오늘. 아, 2P 하자. 2P. 최강한 사람이야? 들어온 사람?
Get ready for the next battle.
아, 월요일날에 병원 갈 수 있으려는지 모르겠네요. 어깨 아파가지고.
네, 안녕하십니까. 사랑하는 시청자 여러분, 반갑습니다. 안마킹입니다. 자, 오늘은 고인물들만 알고 있는 6의 비밀,
What are you doing? And so I was a little hesitant because back then I was recommending low carb keto, and because I had learned about carnivore yet, which is the lowest carb diet of all, the least inflammatory diet of all, the most ketogenic diet of all if done properly. And so I was a little hesitant because I just looked at it as a weight loss hack, right? And so I would only my most severe type 2 diabetic patients, type 1 diabetic patients who had terrible A1Cs, and for severely obese patients, I would say, well, this is what I'm doing. I'm basically eating mostly meat, very, very low carb, and no grains, no beans, no sugar, no vegetables, seed oils. That's what I'm doing. And so they would immediately would say, can I try that? And I would say, well, I think, yeah, for sure. Look, why don't you do it for the next 30 days? And then come back and we'll check everything and see how you're doing. And so you have to understand my mindset back then. I had not looked deeply into the physiology. biochemistry of this. I just
머리
feel it's
깎았을
working like
텐데.
gangbusters for me and for a lot of people that I follow online. And so, I mean, what would be worse, doing 90 days of keto, which may or may not be dangerous, I don't know, or having an A1C of 14 and being 80 pounds overweight? Which one's more dangerous? That was kind of the cost-benefit analysis I was looking at. And it's like, well, obviously their A1C is 14 and they're 80 pounds overweight. Of course, this is not going to be more dangerous than that.
Get ready for the next
battle.
Now, and here's a very important thing for people to understand. Primary care doctors and ER doctors, we look for signal. And what that means is when a new medication comes out and the drug rep comes to my office and tells it basically, doing stuff in my skirt saying, oh, you're the best doctor ever, I know you're really going to try a lot of this. I would always, I've got 10 patients that might benefit from that. I'll prescribe that. And then at their 3-month and 6-month follow-up, I look for symptoms, meaning, are they better? Do they feel better? Are they having a lot of side effects? Do they have to stop it because of side effects? And they get another comorbidity that they have to stop. That's signal. That's what signal is. And so I've recommended to hundreds and hundreds of my diabetic patients, one-way watchers to join the gym. That was my standard line. If you were overweight or had diabetes. And I had gotten 0 symptoms. Maybe that didn't work, but no, my patients are gluttons and sloths.
Okay.
That's the signal I got back. And then even the American Diabetes Association diabetes. I would print the PDF and hand it out to them when they were doing diabetes. Got virtually no signal back. Their A1C didn't go down. Weight, they still felt terrible. And here's the difference, and this is what immediately worked in my ears as a physician, is when I recommended this very simple keto diet, lots of meat, very low carb, avoid wheat, rice, oats, and corn, added sugar, and vegetable seed oil. Immediately, 3 months, 6 months, the A1C would not go down 2 or 3 tenths of a point, but 2 or 3 points. That would not just lose 5 or 10 pounds and then gain back my previous advice. They would lose 20 or 30 pounds and then proceed to keep it off for many, many months. And I was like, this is... But then I also kept getting these other symptoms, like, my arthritis is so much better. Does this diet help with that? And back then I would literally say, I don't think so. Because how could a diet help with arthritis? Because that's a different that's not. Diabetes or obesity, that's different, right? Or their blood pressure would also take a noticeable decrease back to or any number of things. Their heartburn got better. Their dandruff got better. Their literally things. And I'm like, I don't think it helps that. And so that's really one of the reasons why I started looking back at old research, even nutrition research in the 30s. Charlotte, when I had to translate and try to figure out what's going on here, and looking at the research kind of with fresh eyes. Not just, oh, it was calorie restriction. Well, that calorie restriction doesn't help your shoulder arthritis. That, maybe knee arthritis, maybe ankle arthritis, because those are load bearing. If you lose 20 pounds, yeah, I see how your knee arthritis will be better. But the shoulder joint, the hip joint, those are not load bearing. Whether you weigh 500 pounds or 150 pounds, shouldn't have any difference at all. Arthritis in your non-load bearing joints. And so I'm like, it seems like this diet is uninflammatory or anti-inflammatory. That's really weird. How is that even possible? And so I kept digging in. I started learning about ketones. I started learning about all the inflammatory markers. And oh gosh, there's actually research where these inflammatory markers are lower if you eat more meat and less added sugar, less carbs, less ground up grains. And so that just kept leading me further and further and further into the research. And then that ultimately led me into I think a question that should be natural to every doctor and dietitian is, what do people eat? What did they eat 500 years ago? What did they eat 5,000 years ago? That's probably very important. Because as I mentioned previously, I had a degree in animal biology. And part of that is, what do the animals eat? What's just their natural diet. And so when I use the word diet, I use that context. What should that animal eat? The word diet is so metabolically in modern society that the word diet has taken on a negative connotation. We start calling it a way of eating, the WOE, instead of a diet, because the word diet is triggering for many people because they've been on 20 different diets. So it occurred to me, you know, Homo sapiens sapien, we're a species. I wonder if we have a proper human diet. Just like cows have a proper bovine diet. You know, all animals in the wild have a diet they eat. They don't shred crap. They somehow know what to eat, how much to eat, when to eat. They know all that stuff. Intuitively, instinctually. Maybe we have a diet like that too. And so that kind of brings us to where we are today, where I've included a lot of archaeology, anthropology, paleoanthropology into the message that I share with people. And a lot of mainly plant-based people be like, oh, that's an appeal to nature. Well, it's not, actually. It's very scientifically based. It's an appeal to the past, yes, but the scientific facts, we know exactly what the ancient Egyptians ate. We know that. It's documented. We know that for a fact. Also, in Egypt, in their religious practices, meant that basically every person who died, unless they were a prisoner, had some degree of mummification. And so we have these thousands of mummies from Egypt that we can do CAT scans on and MRI on. And so now we have all this information because guess what?
저 보는 것만으로도 좋으세요?
Literally a low-meat Mediterranean diet that we're told to eat. The Egyptian wedding mummies, thousands of them, all strata of society with heart disease. And with mental health.
네.
Host of maladies they suffer from. And this is all documented in fact. That's not an appeal to nature. That's saying the ancient Egyptians were not eating a proper human diet, and their body, there's evidence that they don't suffer. So that's kind of real.
Yeah, so you have just years of clinical experience. You've deeply researched this topic. How did the YouTube channel become a thing?
So my wife, Nisha, who's always right, even when she's wrong, said, you know, you should start a YouTube channel. This was back in 2017, 2016. And I'm like, I was a board certified fellow in the American Academy. I was like, I'm a doctor. What are you talking about a YouTube channel? Because to my age group, that kind of sounds lowbrow, or kind of sounds, kind of, man, I don't know. That sounds kind of shady. And so one day I came home from the clinic, and she said, how many people did you help today? And I was like, I don't know, 30, 40, something like that. She's like, that's so good. I'm so proud of you. What if you could have helped 30 or 40,000? And with that one sentence, she brought up my oath. She brought up everything I believed in. She brought up everything that meant something to make help us become the king. That's my goal, right? And I was like, okay, fine, I'll start a YouTube channel. And so I started it. I would do a video when I was upstairs at the clinic, down on my lunch break, or upstairs before the day started. I would think of a patient who had a question about gout or arthritis or hypertension or diabetes, and I would just act like I was talking to that patient and explain to them, this is what's going on and this is what you should do. And then I would post it on my YouTube channel. And I think the video that really blew up, that put me on everybody's radar, was the U.S. News and World Report. They come out every year with the best and worst diets. And so keto, whatever year that was, 2017, 2018, keto was the worst diet. And I just made kind of a reaction, snarky video to that. And that blew up, and then I was kind of on everybody's radar because it was just so asinine what they were saying about keto that flew directly in the face of my clinical experience with hundreds and hundreds of patients and what had happened to them. And then also, of course, the ADA diet was very near the top. Remember that diet that I said I got no signal back from patients whatsoever? Weight Watchers was also very high on the list as a great diet. Remember I said earlier I'd got zero signal back. That that will do any more than help you lose 5 or 10 or 20 pounds and then gain it back again. None of these diets that they were recommending, I'm like, those diets are crap. They don't help anybody. What's going on here? And that's when I started looking into the kind of socio-economic, political lobbying. See, like, those diets rank so high. These diets are crap. They don't help anybody. What is and keto really is the worst diet on planet Earth? Really? That's weird. Where is this coming from? And so I looked at all of these experts that they had, they had a little blurb about who they were and what they did. And I looked them up online and it's like, oh, they all got grants from Coca-Cola. They have fellowships from Kellogg's. They have, some kind of lobbying from Kraft Heinz. And that's when I was like, really? People are really people who are metabolically sick and in danger of heart attack, stroke, and death. These people are recommending these diets to these people and knowing that these diets are not going to help them at all. Pretty yucky. That's pretty distasteful. Wow. And so that's when I started my Twitter account and started yelling at these people like, what the hell wrong with you? You're not helping people. I mean, you're getting paid, you're getting the check, huzzah for you. But, did you not take an oath like I did? Do you not really want to help the maximum amount of people achieve the best degree of health? Is that not really your motive? Because sure seems like it is.
Yeah, the web of deception runs very deep once you start to look for it, which is just so fascinating because all these people say, oh, I want to help people, and they're recommending, eat oatmeal for breakfast.
Let me say this. I don't think there's some huge conspiracy. I don't think there's this cabal of people who are like, let's screw everybody. I don't think that's what it is. I think that if you just take the average dietitian that's trained at a school of dietetics that literally paid for, funded, built, and the textbooks funded by Post and Kraft and Post Heinz and General Mills.
여보 어떻게 정해요?
Literally, and so you can't badmouth the people that paid for your building. That's just kind of human nature. That would feel distasteful to call them out because your textbook said a generous grant from Kellogg's. You get this. Here's this free textbook. So it's human nature. All these corporations play on the human nature of the situation. I don't think doctors are evil. I also don't think they're idiots. I think that they're just they have fell victim to a paradigm, which is a way of thinking that of course these big corporations are not trying to hurt people. Of course they want to make money, but they're not going to think you're bad idiots. And plus the biggest researchers in dietetics, the biggest researchers in endocrinology and cardiology, they also get grants from all those people too. And they're saying it's fine to have Coca-Cola in moderation. It's fine to have a small bowl of the School of Nutrition at Tufts said actually charms is healthier than scrambled eggs. It's stuff like that. And so what it all adds up to is that even though we're the smartest species on planet Earth, we literally run the planet. We are the one species on planet Earth that does not know what to eat, when to eat, when to stop. We are utterly confused and lost as a species when it comes to what is proper diet, and I think the problem is
there's so much conflicting information out there too that for the normal person trying to weave through all of that is just exhausting. Do you still have a clinical practice?
I have a part-time small clinical practice. I just take care of people out of my home. I've got a small number of elderly folks that can't get out and don't want to go to a doctor, so I just see them. I go to their house and see them for free. I don't even file insurance because it's literally not worth being signed up for all the insurance programs. So I still practice part-time, but mainly I'm working on making videos. I'm working on writing books, writing articles, writing op-eds, stuff like that. And then the community, we have a large private community that we work in as well for people who are like, my husband won't help me. My wife is actively trying to sabotage me because I'm trying to lose weight, I'm trying to get healthy, and they keep making the damn rounds, so they keep, whatever. My family's against this, so we started this community so people can have an accountability, so they can have a safe space that they can go. Everybody's eating low carb or keto or carnivore or diet. nobody's gonna yell at you. And when you have a moment of weakness, they're not gonna say, see, I told you that diet was stupid. They're gonna say, that's okay, I fell off the wagon before too. Let's just get right back on it. I'll help you, and let's do that. I do 4 live Q&As in there every week. We have certified coaches who do live Q&As. We have guests. We had Dr. West in there, Dr. Hampton, Sammy Baker. We've had all kinds of people in there just to answer questions, because most people, they think, oh, I need a carnivore doctor, or I need a keto doctor. And my answer is, do you really? Or do you just need a doctor that'll write your prescription and take everything and order the labs you need? But really what you need is somebody who's knowledgeable and trustworthy to answer your questions. That's what you really need. And that's what we do in the community each and every day, each and every week. Sometimes there will be 10 live Q&As from me and Tisha and other people in there a week. And so there's ample opportunity to get all your questions answered, and then you can use your doctor as just a local resource to get labs checked or to get your refills needed, or something checked for if you need that.
아, 레버 잡는 방법이 한 가지밖에 없어. 근데 이게 너무 부자연스러워 보여가지고 하기 싫은데.
I've also heard that you were named one of the top 3 misinfluencers by, what was that, the E-Lancet Changing Markets Foundation. How did that feel?
So it was actually a great honor, and I think that, usually when somebody gets a label like that, they probably feel shame and, embarrassment, and I think that's what the public relations people hired by people. I think that's exactly what they're going for. They're trying to shame me and Joel Baker and other people, and Nina Ty Jones and all of us that really, I think it's the top 20 misinfluencers in the world when it comes to diet and nutrition. I was number 3, but literally I was mad that I didn't rank higher than Kitty. That was my initial reaction. I was number 3, Janet. I need to work harder, because if you're a misinfluencer, that means that you're misleading people. That means, and so that therefore your advice, by definition, is harm people, right? That's what a misinfluencer would be. You're giving bad advice, wrong advice, harmful advice. But, you can just look at the comments on my YouTube video. Thousands upon thousands of people saying, you saved my life, reversed my type 2 diabetes, I'm no longer severely obese, my blood pressure is almost back to normal. Literally, just hundreds, thousands of comments. So I don't really think that's being a misinfluencer. I think that's maybe showing people another way. Now, I may be a misinfluencer when it comes to big food and big pharma profits, and I think that's probably the truth of the matter. And I'm happy to be that. I'm going to try next year to be number 1 misinfluencer in the world when it comes to eating into the billion-dollar profits of big food and big pharma, because they can go kick rocks. I'm not interested in their profits. I could care less if they go bankrupt. What I am very interested in is improving the health of every single person I can reach in the world. That's my goal as a doctor who took an oath and meant it, is to do that. And that's what I've been doing, and that's what I'll continue to do.
So the people that are naming you as a misinfluencer, isn't that based on the diet that's recommending like 4 ounces of meat per week or something like that?
Yeah, like 1 egg a week, 2 or 3 ounces of red meat a week, mainly fruits and vegetables, and lots of grains. Yeah, that's the diet they recommend, and that's literally the diet that got us into this metabolic mess that modern society is in. And they're like, oh no, it was the junk.
Sanwa JLF grip.
Get ready for the next battle.
Skrrr.
貴様をここで終わらせる。Round 1. Fight.
이걸로 해야겠다. 나간다.
Get ready for the next battle.
야, 세상에.
Get ready for the next battle.
긴 이름을 가진
This video, how to have a better way back, how to have a better way back, player 1 and player 2 side. So, it is also both Japanese and Korean livers. So, it doesn't really matter which language you do, this should apply to basically every player. So, it's a little different styles. The reason why I'm talking about this side, you know, we can do that. It could be good for so I'll show you guys how I grip it, and I'll also link down some pancake videos so you guys have an idea of how to grip your, and not everyone Granted, not everyone will do that right now. But I'll show you guys mine to give you guys an idea. And then you guys can the hang out video that I like now. Have one Japanese levers and Korean levers. Yeah, I think they're really helpful. Okay, so the line group, solid jet left. Just over here. Cover my entire like hand.
Dynamic duo 노래.
Get ready for the next battle.
I use this part of my hand, and I just push it. And I only my middle finger to hold down that. So yeah, that's how I grip my finger. Hopefully you guys experiment with your grip styles, see what works for you, and then just push it. And I use only my middle finger to hold down that leg.
어깨가 많잖아.
So yeah, that's how I grip my lever. Hopefully you guys make sure you experiment with your grip styles, see what works for you, find the perfect balance between comfort and effective. Also, I forgot to mention, the way I hit the lever, as you can see, this is a ball top, and the widest part is this part here in the middle. So, the middle part is the widest. So, as a person with small hands, it's kind of hard to hit the wide part, the middle part. So what I do is when I try to hit the lever, I try to hit the upper part, which is around this area. So this area is way slimmer than the middle part. And for me that's easier. An easier way to hit the lever. Same thing, you know, this way. If I try to hit the middle part, it's a bit harder for me. But it might work for you that better to hit the middle part of the ball top. It's all just preference. I personally try to hit the upper part because it's slimmer and it's easier for me to hit. So now I'll just show you guys my grip on the Korean lever. Okay guys, for my grip on the Korean lever, it's kind of the same thing. And I just try to make sure I hit the top part. This top part of the style. Now I'm going to show you how to properly practice way back. So let's start with player 1, which is the hardest part, or the hardest side. How I practice player 1 side, make sure you start slow, and again I use, I remember what I did with my grip style. And slide down a little bit. And then just use forward. So those holding grip until you're gradually once you get one.
아이고야. 힘들진 않았고. 하루 종일 샤워 안 했네. 오늘 거의 하루 종일 쉬었어. 침대에서 눕기만 했어, 오늘 하루 종일. 아야.
If you're still really slow, just make sure you keep practicing. Because obviously, that's what I did. I just practice and practice. I was really slow back then too. And that's how you're gonna, if you're a beginner, that's how you're gonna start off. You're gonna start really slow until you gradually increase your speed and make sure you're comfortable at that speed.
Get ready for the next battle.
Mainly for Japanese levers, because well, if it also applies to Korean levers as well, but it affects Japanese levers.
Round
because
one.
Return to neutral on Japanese levers. And that's one of the biggest ones for me. Because the Korean levers, stick. It returns to neutral very fast, way faster than the Japanese lever.
Fight.
But it still does. This tip still like. And the tip I'm talking about is letting go. You got that hand correctly. Just make it like this. But you're doing the correct motion. Most likely because you're not letting go of your control. That's going to go hard to start in life. That's why you have to first. Make sure you're letting go. So I tap it,
Boom.
Round four.
and then keep on practicing. Eventually, it'll be you already get the hang. You can work it down.
운으로 이겼나.
So if you're in there, work on your hand motion because on green levers it has more tension and it has a longer throw for the most part. So we just gotta make sure you're hitting the diagonal. Make sure you're putting force into it.
Round 1. Fight.
You can use more boost. You can be more round compared to a Japanese lever.
Fight.
I would say when you come to that, because of the return potential is fast. Make sure when you're also forgot to mention that helps me a lot with the matching setting.
Round 3.
And put it on.
Fight.
And then for the most part, I just practice round combos and fight. It really helps with consistency and practice letting go to neutral and your hand motion. And when you're practicing, make sure you do it slowly at first, and then increase the speed once you're comfortable. And then
round 1. Fight.
Overall, keep on practicing. Really no secret. Well, my way doesn't just practice and take your time and you notice that I'm actually eventually you'll be able to way better on both sides as soon as
Round 2.
yeah, that's basically it.
Fight.
Just a quick hand motions for really clear service. Usually I'm trying to use like your whole hand or your entire to do that for you. If not, you can something like that. That might work out really
Round 4. Fight. for the next battle. Get ready for the next battle. Get ready for the next battle. ready for the next battle. Round 1. Fight. Round 3. Fight. You win. 話にならんな.
Eu não quero vingança. Quero futuro.
騒がしいハエどもが Round 1 Fight
다행히도 왼쪽 어깨는 괜찮아서.
Sinta o ritmo da guerra. Faça parte da guerra. Nada supera a capoeira.
Round 3. Fight.
참고로 제가 하는 캐릭이 이 게임에서 제일 어려운 캐릭이에요. 못한다고 그러지 말고. 이 캐릭이 제일 어려운 캐릭이에요. 아, 풀었는데. 아! 아. 아하. 어머니. 매번은 세게 다뤄야 돼. 비디오에서 나온 사람처럼.
Get ready for the next battle.
아야. 약 먹어야 된다. 약. 한 시간 늦었네. 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷, 다섯.
Get ready for the next battle. Round one. Fight.
햄이 내가 아는 누구한테. 선생님 나가는 거. 이건 아니구만. 엄청 좋은 캐릭인데, 그 캐릭. 12시에 이메일입니다. 이메일이.
Round one. Fight.
너무 길었어. 진짜 사람 너무 못하네. 저주는 나보다도. 점수 다시 올라가네. 최원생이 나 질리게 되는 거 아니야? 다시 보기 싫어하는 거 아니야?
Get ready for the next battle.
아, 또. 아. 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 그런데.
Get ready for the next battle.
Face the mighty fight.
One second. Today we're going to talk about a tournament that happened in Japan. Well, no, Korea. Korea, actually.
This is STL Season 1, Day 4, 2026. Ulsan takes it using Azuzena. Ulsan is one of the people who didn't like switch that often. He kind of stayed with Dragon, right? But now he's playing Azuzena. I feel like Azuzena is like, she's a monster. She gets stronger and stronger, worse and worse in terms of like gameplay direction as time goes on. But Ulsan is picking her up. He's creating this huge conversation here, right? There's this conversation that sparked 6 hours ago at the time of recording because of his usage of the character in tournament. But we want to watch the grand finals and see what happened, how he did it, and yeah. I will be giving some commentary over this. I know usually when I do it, people comment and say, why is he talking so much? And it's because you got to transform it to make it something. You got to make your own content, right? You can't just take the gameplay and upload. I mean, you can if you do a replay channel, but you want to transform it and add some value to it, right? But let's see. So this is Clive. Usually Clive plays Kristen. You guys know who that is? Do you guys know who Kristen is? Kristen? I've never seen that name before, but he is on the loser side of Grand Final playing Clive. This tournament is pretty popular in, I believe it's a Korean tournament. This tournament is pretty popular, right? Me and all those people go there. So for this guy to make it through and beat all the names we're familiar with, he must be someone. He must be someone, right? So you have Ulsan on the Azuzena. One thing that I really dislike about Azuzena is how, and a lot of characters have this, it's not just her, but how she has that Season 2 new move where she does the heel kick and it's plus frames, but it's also a counter hit launcher. And then there's also, I think it's like a spike at the wall that gets OP. I just dislike how that one move kind of does it all, but a lot of characters have that one move that does everything, right? But yeah, that's something about this character that's pretty wild. So, let's see. First round goes to Ulsan. Clive's a monster. He didn't really do a good combo there. Did they nerf Clive at all? No, or probably not. If they nerf Clive, he probably wouldn't be here in Grand Finals right now, right? The Clive seems to be very active. I know like we're focusing on Azuzena, but like this Clive being here and I'm not being too familiar with them, I'm kind of like looking at what kind of skill he has and what he possesses. He's like doing a really good job of like, you know, pressuring Ulsan, punishing, crouching. He's leaving himself open sometimes, but he's kind of really going for it. He's really trying to make like something happen. And I respect that kind of like tenacity. You guys remember that move, that running elbow, knee elbow on, wow, that was crazy. Ulsan really went for it right there. That running knee elbow was so wild in Season 1. It was one of the most complained about moves.
What is up, Pleasure family? Welcome back to yet again a beautiful day, a beautiful weekend. The weekend is here. Chat down below. We got Pablo, man.
머리도 못 깎고 어떡하냐.
Yesterday, a lot of people feeling disrespected by Captain. Thinking that it's in progress, so maybe we should just be quiet and keep it going. Either way, y'all are the judge. Chat down below. Let's go. All right, first up, what the hell is this disrespect? What was that need to be checked? This is actually spoken out by none other than this word is a big word sticks out there. There's something he's saying in his chest, you know what I'm saying? He really means it. Anyway, this is how it started. I noticed Capcom posted, I guess, the schedule coming up for the next CPT. Right here, somebody by the name of Vinny posted this saying Capcom has released the schedule and rules for CPT 2026. There are 9 offline tournaments, and 2 of them are not yet announced. The champion of these tournaments and direct spots and 7 players qualified for points. 25 spots via the World Warrior, and only Japan is a super region, which is 2 spots. And he posted this right here. So I noticed these are like the offline ones, Evo Japan, Combo Breaker,
right here, Asia East. I'm going to scroll pretty fast because I'm looking for good. Oceania, Brazil, Central America East, Mexico, South America East. West right there, Chile. UK, Ireland, France, Monaco, Spain, Europe West, Germany. What else we got? Europe North/East, and then Middle East. This is the Middle East. Look at all these. All of them. This bunch is also Egypt. Egypt is right there. Anyway, this is what popped it up.
요즘 돈 많아요.
What else we got? We got US.
요즘 좀 써볼게요.
US Midwest. US. Victor says they didn't work, but the game refused to connect to them of how bad the connection is. They didn't play and ended up doing appointments to see who was
최강사님은 저랑 얘기할 자신감 언제 생길 거야? 제가 얼마나 사랑하는지 알아요. 조금만 잘못하면 제가 싫어할 것 같아요. 연습을 해야지 사람이랑 연애하는 거랑. 최하승이 너무 얘기하고 싶어요.
But now we're bringing in laws talking about, oh, but sure, let's make a region to make sure he absolutely gets there. But he has to. He has to and saying, by the way, I don't have an issue with Chile having its own region. It's just stupid that
원장님한테 걸리면 안 돼서 그런 건가? 예.
Bigford actually responds to this saying North Africa not getting its own region instead getting this shit only for one country is actually terrible. But underneath, they say, dude, why throw trash to Chile in your complaint? It doesn't make any sense. Our register numbers are high.
I sound raw.
Players not qualified for the premier, even without that for the leaderboard. So why talk like that about us? Be respectful to our country. He just overshoots what here he says, saying, by the way, I don't have an issue with Chile having its own region. Other than he's saying, you know, you can make a point without talking shit about our region. By the way, we are the best of the South Hemisphere in results and numbers, and those are the facts. He responds again, both retweeting one more time, saying, by the way, I don't have an issue with Chile having its own region. Then you got more agreeing to that fact, basically saying,
참이랑 안 해. 너 진짜 싫어.
Others say Chile region isn't for flaws. It's whoever blocks gatekeeps by existing. There could be top 30 players in Chile and no one respects at all because they lose the blocks. And then I noticed Bigford added some more later. He's probably tweeting this one saying Capcom, whatever region is in Asia. You see this classic meme right here. He adds this though. This one we're talking about the point. I take it for I don't think I hears that. Well, he puts it right here. He said, this is the match I had in pools last year versus a Turkish player. One time there was a match in pools, Turkish player versus a Pakistani player. They could not connect and get the match started. They tried so many times and the match ended up being decided by a coin flip. He posted this screenshot. Underneath somebody said, is it Turkey or
Sidestep versus sidewalk.
In this video, I want to talk about sidestepping versus sidewalking in Tekken 8. From my experience, sidewalking tends to take more moves than sidestepping, especially when it comes to low attacks. But here's the thing, you can't really say that one option is simply better than the other. And I know I've said this in countless other videos of mine, but please stay with me. It's always situational which option is better. Let's start with the sidewalk. You use it to avoid the majority of your opponent's attacks. You observe your opponent, confirm the whiffs, and only then do you try to punish. This is relatively safe, but it also has a downside. It takes time. By the time you confirm your opponent whiffing an attack, you most likely don't get a launch punish anymore. Just a 10 frame or 12 frame punish, not the big launch you were hoping for. Now let's talk about the sidestep. Sidestepping is a bit quicker because you don't take those extra steps like you do with a sidewalk. But confirming the whiff still takes time. Here's the solution. Just sidestep into not confirming the whiff into launch. This tactic is very effective against poke spammers, but it's also very risky. Why? Because once you commit to your launcher, your hurt box often expands. It gets bigger. Moves that look linear but actually have big hitboxes can now clip you, and suddenly you're the one getting launched. So, what's the takeaway? Both sidestep and sidewalk are powerful tools if you use them correctly. Look at your opponent's habits. Is he using a lot of linear pokes? Is he using a lot of strings? Is he using a lot of blow? I'm a huge fan of sidewalking, but remember, neither is strictly better. They just shine in different situations, and it's important to remember those situations so you can pick your optimal option against your opponent. One last important note, both options can be cancelled at any time with a back or down back input or any attack. That means you can buffer a sidestep or a sidewalk, and if you feel unsure, you can always cancel out and block safely. Thank you guys for watching my video. If you are interested in more, check out my channel, and if you have things to criticize, do it.
잠깐만 죄송해요. 다른 게임을 잠깐 접속해야 돼. 잠깐만요. 뭐 좀 얻으려면 다른 게임 잠깐 해야 돼. 잠깐만요.